Up next, here we go again. Your tax dollars helped fund it. Now a Chinese company owns it. And guess who's left holding the bag on another green company? That's right, you. When will we learn? First, U.S. taxpayers funded green car maker Fisker. Then it went bust. Well, now a Chinese company just bought it for $150 million. But we're still on the hook for $139 million. We, the taxpayers, and EMAC, you say we've seen this before. It's time to stop the cycle once and for all.
Yeah, it's time to stop this cycle. Jim DeMint had it right. This is venture socialism of the worst order. Let's look at the numbers since 2009. $32 billion in loans went out the door to 26 different projects. Only about 2,300 jobs created. That's about $14 million we've spent per job, when the president said, you know what, we're going to get 5 million green jobs by 2018. A lot of the money went to establish big utilities and companies like that were sponsored by Goldman Sachs. Is this really the way that we want to go?
And Rick, the false promise, again, we get back to these false promises. We gotta call these politicians to count for these what they have said. Here's what Vice President Biden said in 2009 at a Fisker plant in Delaware, his home state. This is seed money, the money that was going to Fisker, that will return back to the American consumer in billions and billions and billions of dollars in good new jobs. Well, guess what? It's returning, but to China.
Can I say, oops?
I wish he would.
Look, yeah, we get lots of the negative stories. We all know about Fisker and so on. But let's talk a little bit about Tesla, whose stock is skyrocketing, who got more money than they did and paid it back early, and has created a technology that's going to benefit everybody in the future. And as I always like to remind everybody, if you're enjoying watching us on television right now, the reason you have your television is from government subsidy and government creative assistance in creating the television.
I didn't know this was the BBC.
You and Al Gore got to get together.
I was going to say,
All right,
and the internet.
Steve, the fact is that there are plenty of examples of companies that we have spent billions of dollars on that have gone bust in this whole green energy project of the president. We can put some of them up on the screen. And meanwhile, by the way, one of those companies, the battery maker A123, well, the same Chinese company that just bought Fisker, one part of it, also bought that. So the more we spend, the more the Chinese are raking it in, buying these companies at a fire sale.
Yeah, I just want to correct Rick. I invented television. Just for the record.
No, you were just its first big star.
Forbes is TV.
But it's one thing for government to do basic research, quite another to pretend it's an investment banker. Leave investment banking for others and stick to the basics. Yes, you get a Tesla every once in a while, but you have more and more disasters. They're not in the business. They don't have the discipline. Let those who know what they're doing have a crack at it, not bureaucrats who don't know what they're doing and playing politics, David. Government is politics, period.
Rich, does the Tesla example excuse all these failures?
No, but I live out here where there's a Tesla every other car, and I think that Apple will buy them, and everybody's going to make a lot of money.
Right.
But look, the government should be doing R&D on new energy sources. We should be doing more of it. What we should not be doing is trying to pick winners, because then the money is always going to go to the politically connected, right. And it's what you do is you crowd out real entrepreneurs when you do that.
Well, John, the fact is, whenever you have government involved, you have politicians wanting a piece of it for their constituents so that they can get reelected, right?
Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree with Rich here, too. Government should not be in the investment business, period. If you have a clue about how to invest, but even basic R&D, if you have a clue about how to do that, it's going to be much better allocated in the private sector. If you understand investment, you're going to make billions in the private sector over the salary you'd make in the federal government.
You know,
and to Rick's point, about government creating television, the notion that we wouldn't have television absent government is laughable. Lest we forget, government gets its resources from us. All of it creates is from us. We just do a much better job.
You know, hold on a second. So we haven't heard from Sabrina. Sabrina, I want to get back to the main point of this, which is that after all this money that we put into this company, the Chinese are buying it. Just like, we put a lot of money into Chrysler, and we gave that to the Italians. Now we're giving these companies to the Chinese. I mean, there's something wrong with that.
You're right. We're back in fantasy land at Disney World. But I mean, the reality is that we invest 6 times more federal subsidies into green energy than on fossil fuels. Yet the private sector is backing away from green energy because it simply has not been profitable thus far. We saw BP ditch its wind investment. We saw Solyndra. We saw Fisker. I mean, these are serious problems. We need new ideas, and federal subsidies simply prop up otherwise failing businesses. They don't make it a successful business, and they crowd out real innovation.
You know, where is the executive order for Keystone, right? But, you know, the terrible irony here is that we are slamming small businesses. 2/3 of their profits go to taxes, and that money, David, is going away from small businesses, paying to the government, to these, you know, these green energy companies. It's like putting green lipstick on a pig when it's going to companies like Solyndra or Fisker or companies that the Chinese then buy.
Yeah, Rick, there's something right. We are now subsidizing Chinese companies. You're as appalled by that as we are, aren't you?
Well, we're not. Yeah, but we're not really subsidizing them. We're just picking bad businesses in some cases
and giving them money.
Subsidize, and the Chinese are taking advantage. But again, you can't weight this all in one direction. We have also invested in some very successful ones like Tesla and
so
more.
Steve, I think Rick just hit upon something. People taking advantage of these situations. That's the problem. When you have a government program like this, you always find somebody, whether they're here or in China or in Italy, taking advantage of it, taking advantage of us, the taxpayer.
Yeah, well, politics is involved. And just look at Fannie and Freddie. Now they're back in business again. They never learn because it's a source of money from them, taking from us, giving them to themselves. Sort of a perverse form of Robin Hood.
Last word from the boss.